mind sifting
I had
through
always
other
heard
people's
the whispers.
junk.
It was a
one of
crisp
those things
October
that hung in the air in small
where
towns.
the air smelled
Kind
like
of
fallen
rumor that
leaves
everyone
and
knew.
wood smoke.
But no one talked
I wasn't
about
looking for
too
anything in
openly.
particular, just
They'd tell you
killing
it was
time
just
on
a
a
story,
Saturday.
something to
That's
tell
when I
around
saw
campfires,
an
or
old
at the
photograph
bar
tucked
after
between
a few
a stack
too many
of yellowed
drinks.
magazines.
But deep
and
down,
a chipped porcelain
you knew
doll.
the truth. The photo
People
was
had
vanished,
sepia-toned,
and it
the
all
edges
started
frayed.
the same way.
It showed a family
At midnight,
of 5.
I hadn't really paid
stern-looking
much
man
attention
in a
to it.
suit.
I'd
A
heard
woman
about
in
it
a
all my
high-collared
life,
dress,
like
two
everyone
young
else.
boys in
A man,
knickerbockers,
tall
and a little girl
gaunt,
in a
would
frilly
knock on
pinafore.
doors at exactly
The
midnight,
photo was torn
asking for
right
your
down the
name.
middle.
Anyone
The girl
who
was
answered
missing
would
from the
disappear
waist
by
up.
the next day,
Her legs were
erased
still
from
there,
every record.
standing between her
People
brothers.
would look for them,
The rest
but
of
their
her
names
was gone.
would be gone.
How much like this never
I asked
existed?
the vendor.
An
I
elderly
assumed it
woman
was just
with a
some
knitted
kind
shawl
of
and a
urban
face
legend.
like a dried apple.
Until I saw it for myself.
$5, she said.
The
not
night
even
was
looking
cold,
up.
and I
found it
could
in
feel
an
the
old
chill
house
creeping under
outside
the
town.
door. They were clearing it out
after
after
the
the last
frame.
owner passed.
I'd been sitting in my living room.
I handed her the money and
the
tucked the
constant
photo
feeling
into
of
my
dread
bag.
that settled
It felt
over
like a
me
piece
as
of
the clock
history,
ticked closer
something
to
worth
midnight.
saving. The air
I
in my
didn't think
house
much
felt
of it until
thick,
I got home,
like something was pressing
that
against
night
the walls.
as I was unpacking
But I
my
couldn't look
finds.
away from the
I
clock.
noticed something strange.
I remember thinking, just
The
for
torn
a
edge
second,
of the photo
that I
looked
might leave,
different.
that I might get in my
It was
car
hard
and
to
drive out of
explain,
town,
but it seemed like
leave
a
the
tiny
stupid
sliver
rumors
of the
behind.
missing girl had reappeared.
But my feet were glued
Just
to
a
the
sliver,
floor,
mind you,
and
a
then
faint outline of
it
her
happened.
dress where there had been
The first
nothing
knock,
before.
a light
I
rapped
chalked it up
against
to
the
my
door,
imagination
followed by a
and went to
pause.
bed.
I
The
stared
next
at the
morning,
door.
I found something
It
on my
wasn't
kitchen
like the
floor.
usual knocks.
It was a small
This
scrap
one felt
no bigger
wrong.
than a postage stamp.
My heart,
But on it was a
in my
fragment of
chest.
the photo.
I knew what it was.
Girl's hand
It was him
clutching a doll.
census taker.
My heart skipped a
I
beat.
couldn't bring myself
I
to
hadn't
move.
torn the photo.
I couldn't leave.
I hadn't even touched
All I
it
could
since
do
I
was
put
sit
it on
there,
the shelf.
frozen. My
I told
hand
myself
gripping
the
the armrest
armrest
of the chair as I
Maybe the
stared
photo
at the
had
door,
been damaged in my
waiting for
bag,
something.
and the piece had
Another
fallen
knock
out.
came,
But deep
This
down,
one
I
harder,
knew that wasn't
louder.
possible. A chill ran
The scrap
down my
was too
spine.
clean,
too
Was I
precise.
supposed to answer?
It was as if someone
Was
had
this
carefully
really
cut
happening?
it out and left
I
it for me
glanced
to
at the
find.
clock.
Midnight.
That's when I heard
felt
it.
my heart
A
race.
faint giggle,
My mind
like
was
a child's
racing too.
laughter coming from the
Should
hallway.
I open it?
I froze.
Should I answer?
My house
But I
was
knew
empty.
the story.
I
I
lived
knew
alone.
what happened if you did.
The sound didn't come
The knocking
again,
continued,
but I couldn't shake the
relentless.
feeling that I
Each
wasn't
strike
alone
more
anymore.
insistent.
The next
My
few
hand was
days
shaking
were
as I reached for
unsettling.
the door handle.
I kept
But I
finding
stopped
more
myself
pieces of
just
the
as
photo
my
around
fingers
the house.
brushed against it.
A scrap with the girl's
If I
shoulder
opened the
appeared
door
on my
and something
nightstand.
terrible happened.
Another with her chin
What if I
showed up in the
vanished,
bathroom
like
sink.
all the others?
Each time the
stayed
pieces
there,
were perfectly cut,
wondering
as if
if this
someone
would
was
be the night
meticulously
that
reassembling the
finally happened
photo.
to me.
One fragment at a
Knocking
time.
stopped abruptly.
I tried to rationalize it,
why, but I
maybe
stayed
I was
there,
sleepwalking.
frozen.
Maybe I had a
staring
mouse
at
that
the
was
door.
dragging the pieces
My
around.
heart was pounding,
But the
and
laughter
all I
kept
could hear
coming.
was the blood
Soft,
rushing in my
distant,
ears.
and always when I was
Silence
in love.
stretched.
It was the
and
kind of
suffocating.
sound that made the
I didn't
hairs on
want
the
to
back
open
of
the
your
door,
neck
but I
stand up.
couldn't move.
The kind that made you
know
check
how
over your
much
shoulder
time passed
even when you
It
knew
could
no
have been a
one was
minute,
there.
or it could have been an
Then
hour.
came the mirror.
My thoughts were
I was
racing
shaving
one
and I
morning when
kept
I
hearing
saw
that
her.
knock in my
Just
head,
a flicker
over
out of
and
the corner
over.
of my eye.
The first knock,
I turned,
the
and
second
there she
one.
was,
The sound
the
of
girl
my
from the
heart
photo,
thudding along with
She
it.
was standing behind
Finally,
me,
I
her face
stood up.
pale and her
My
eyes
legs
hollow.
shaking.
My
She was
body
wearing the
moving
same
like it
frilly
wasn't in
pinafore,
mine.
the same doll clutched
Slowly,
in her hand.
cautiously,
I spun around
crept
toward
but
the
there was
door,
no one there.
my hand reaching
When I
for
looked
the
back
handle.
at the mirror, she was
My breath
gone.
was shallow.
My
and I
hands
was
were
sweating
shaking
so
despite
badly
the
I
cold
nicked
air
myself
swirling
with
in
the
the room.
razor. I was
I
about
told
to turn
myself
the knob
it was
when
a
I
trick
heard
of the
something.
light, a
Footsteps.
figment of my
It was
imagination.
so quiet, I almost
But I couldn't
thought
shake
I
the
imagined
feeling that she was
But
watching
no,
me.
it was real.
That night,
They were
I did something I
outside,
hadn't
moving
done
along
in
the porch,
years.
pacing
I
in the
called
dark.
my sister.
I pulled away
She lived
from
in
the door,
Ohio,
my stomach
but she'd always been the
knocked.
practical one,
Knock
the
came
one
again.
who could talk me
This
down
time
when I
harder
would
than
spiral,
before.
almost like a
You're
demand.
freaking yourself out,
Hairs on the
she
back of
said
my
after
neck
I stood
stood
up
up
as I stood there
and
and
stared
stared
at
at the
the
mirror.
mirror.
I
It's
backed
just an
away.
old picture.
My mind
Throw it
screaming
away
it's
me to
bothering
run,
you.
to get
But I
out.
couldn't. But my feet
Something about the
wouldn't
photo
move.
felt.
I thought of all the
haunted.
stories I'd
Like
heard
it was a
growing
puzzle I
up.
was meant to solve.
People
said the census
so I started
taker was
digging.
never really seen. I went to the local
That's why people
library,
didn't
scoured
recognize him
old
until it was
newspapers,
too late.
and even talked
He
to
was
a few
always
of the
just
older
a
folks
shadow
in town.
in the doorway.
A
That's
dark
when I
figure
found out
standing
about
in
the
the
Holloway
night,
family.
asking for your name.
They'd lived in a farmhouse
That's how it
outside
started.
Willow Creek
Just
in
asking
the early
for your name.
1900s.
But tonight,
The parents,
something
two
felt
boys
different.
and a little girl
I
named
could feel
Eleanor.
the weight of the silence.
According to the
pressing on me.
records,
I could
Eleanor
feel
had
him out
disappeared
there,
one night in
watching.
1912.
I wasn't sure
She
what
was
I was
never found.
afraid of more. The family
man
moved away
outside,
soon
or the
after,
fact
and the
that I
house
could
fell
already
into
feel
disrepair.
myself slipping into
As I
the
was
kind
leaving
of
the
fear
library,
that
I
only a
felt a
story
chill
like this
run
could
down my
create.
spine. It was
I
then
turned
that I heard
around
the sound
and
again. There she was,
a faint
Eleanor.
scraping. It was
She was
coming
standing
from
at the
behind
end
the
of the
door,
aisle,
her door
handle
dangling
slowly
from one
turned.
hand.
She smiled
froze,
at me, and
heart
then she was
hammering
gone.
in my chest.
The sight of Eleanor
Somewhere in the
was turning
library
shook
shook
me to my core.
The door creaked
I couldn't
open just
explain
a
it.
crack.
Couldn't
Soft
rationalize
sound of the
it.
hinges cutting
She
through
wasn't
the
just a
heavy
figment
silence
of my imagination.
I could barely
anymore.
breathe.
She was
my
real,
chest constricting
or at
as I
least
stared
real
at the
enough to
dark
make me
shadow
question
under
my
my
sanity.
sanity.
I drove his way days. My
I
hands
knew that if
gripping
I
the
opened
steering
the door,
wheel
I
so
would be
tightly,
lost.
my knuckles turned
Somehow,
white.
despite the fear,
When I
my
got
hand
back,
still reached
the
for
house
knob,
felt different,
almost as if it had a mind of its own.
heavier. I didn't
Like
want to
the
do
air
this, but I
itself
couldn't
was
stop
holding its
myself.
breath.
My
I walked
fingers brushed
inside
against
and
the cold
immediately
metal,
noticed something
and
on
with
the
a
dining
final
table.
desperate breath,
Another
I
piece
pushed
of
the
the
door
photo.
open. This
The
one
night air
showed
rushed
Eleanor's
in,
face,
cold and bitter.
her wide,
There was
empty
nothing
eyes,
there.
staring straight
one
at me.
standing in the doorway.
Her lips were curled
No
into
dark
a faint
figure.
smile, just empty
It wasn't
space.
comforting.
I
It was
stepped out
predatory.
cautiously. I picked up the
Peering
scrap,
into the
my
darkness.
fingers trembling. The porch light
was
was
this
faintly, casting long shadows,
was leaving
across
these
the ground.
pieces for me to
My
find.
heart was still racing.
I decided to take
now
my
there
sister's
was an
advice and
unsettling
get rid of the
quiet
photo.
that filled the air.
I
grabbed it from the shelf,
felt it
and
again.
shoved it into a trash
Fear
bag,
that something
along with all the
was
scraps I'd found. I took a step. I tied the bag tightly and carried it out to the dumpster behind my house. As I dropped the bag in, I heard it again. To hear that giggle. Your name. It was louder this time. Closer. The voice spun around, but there was no one there. My core. Just the empty alley and just fading light of dusk. Was the silhouette back inside, locking the door behind his tall, thin frame. I could sleep. Just every creak of the house, every rustle of the wind outside, made my heart race. But I felt his. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling when I heard it. Surrounding soft, rhythmic tapping. It was coming from the mirror above my dresser. But as I stepped forward, I felt I couldn't help myself. Icy grip on my arm. I sat up and turned toward the mirror like ice. At first, I tried to pull away my own reflection. Wouldn't let go. Pale and wide-eyed. His voice came again, but the words hanging in the air like Eleanor appeared behind me. Your name. She was closer this time. Her face just over my shoulder against him. Her hand was rising in my throat. But before I could break free, as if she were trying to get my attention, I woke up in my bed, scrambled out of bed in sweat, backing away until I hit around me. My body again, and my mind was foggy. But the mirror had just woken from a and written in the condensation were something felt off behind me. The air in the room was thick, still, like nothing had moved. I called in sick. The clock on the wall blinked 12 a.m. Couldn't think about anything but Eleanor. I couldn't remember how I got. I drove out to the old hall, but as I looked around, I felt, which was about a sudden, minutes outside chilling realization. The house was everything was wrong. Its windows. I walked to the window, trying to shake the fog from my mind. Was overgrown. And then I saw it, and a rusted outside was quiet as it always was. But something was different. The gate open and walked. The houses were all the same. To the front, the lights dimmed or off. The air was thick with. But as I walked past the mirror, I stopped short. The door I didn't see myself. One of the boards, the reflection in the mirror, was empty. I turned it off and climbed inside. Pounding again. The interior. I looked around the room. Capsule. Nothing. Dust covered. I checked my ID, faded my wallpaper, and everything was different. Creaked with every step. My name was gone. I found myself. There was no record of me anywhere. I tried to call my family friend, but my name wasn't even in their contact list anymore. Caught my eye. Nothing. It was the same photo I bought at the flea market, erased but intact, just like the others. Eleanor was and there. As I stumbled out into the street, smiling, the last thing I saw was a shadow standing in front of the doors behind, waiting for the next name to take its sound. I turned around, but the hallway was empty. Then I felt it, a cold hand gripping my wrist.